Good morning and welcome to Market of the Moment. I am Don Chakowski. I'm the Director of Channel Sales for Fidelity National Title, and I'm always point out who's back, but it was actually me back this week. And what an amazing job, Ms. Dina Jones, Sharon Terhune, Mindy Jones. Oh my gosh, did I never put that together? You guys are both Joneses?
No way. Right? Yeah. That's not the first time.
Oh my God.
I think I did. Did you not see the light bulb come out over my head as I was saying it? But Mindy and Amber did last week. You guys were amazing, and thank you guys so much for carrying the torch while I was out. And I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I put in a few vacation requests for some travel I've got coming up, and Sharon's like, "There's a lot of Thursdays on here," and and so I do appreciate you guys taking care of business when I am not here. So thank you for that. So I want to start off with some introductions. And so all of you hopefully know Ms. Mindy Jones, the owner of the Amy Jones Group by now. So Mindy, thank you as always for your market updates at which side we're going to wave with. And we are excited. Oh, we got dancing happen and the whole thing. But we're excited for the market update and to see what we got going on with inventory. Heard a lot of conversations about how we're still continuing to see some increases as people are on summer vacations and about other things going on in their life. So it might be a great time to buy. And then the one who makes all of the money available, Ms. Amber Kovarik. Good morning, Amber. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited to hear, I know you guys spent some time last week talking about the latest numbers around inflation and the impact that those are having on interest rates. So, as we've had kind of a week for things to cool down, I'm excited to hear that update a little bit later on about what we're seeing there also.
For sure. So, thank you.
And Ms. Sharon Terhune, the Vice President of Sales for Fidelity National Title. Sharon, thank you so much as always. Thanks for carrying the torch last week, and thank you for being here as well.
Yep.
And our special guest this week is Mr. Ryan Gerdes, the owner of the Recon Group with West USA Realty. Good morning, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you. Special guest. Wow. Thanks. That's quite the intro.
Well, it's always special when we get to spend some time with Ryan. So,
thanks, brother.
Well, and so, it was a few weeks ago that Ryan and I were in a meeting and there was a conversation about the ice cream shop. And we're constantly talking about what it takes to build a career in real estate, and what spurs so much of these conversations is a lot of people are looking for this from the get-go, right? They're looking for that easy button, and how they're going to, I've told stories about how I worked with somebody who is no longer in the business, and not a surprise after they told me that their business building plan was to wait at the office every day for people to come in. And so, but when we talk about what people invest in their business, the ice cream shop analogy has been something that, well, I was sitting with Ryan and he kind of talked about it. I was like, this is a great topic, and this is something we should be talking more about how to grow your business and the things that it takes to do so. So, Ryan, so can you kind of fill us in a little bit there? I know you actually have a deck, you got the whole thing, but how this came to be for you to look at this analogy as building business in real estate?
Well, so, I do a lot of proactive work trying to just figure out how to be better, how to grow, and how to be more efficient. Fill in the blanks with any of those good positive words that any good business owner is always trying to achieve. And I was sitting down with a friend of mine who I believe is a true sage of the business and has had a great deal of success, been doing it longer than myself. And I was talking with him, like, hey, this is where we are in our business. This is where we are with our team. We're wanting to take it to the next level. Here's what my thoughts are. What do you think? And, I was missing the mark on a couple of things, and it became clear to me that it's very simple if we can just kind of bring it to like a metaphorical place. And we were sitting outside of the coffee shop, and he says, "Now look, if you and I were going to do a joint venture," and he looks around, and there's an ice cream shop sitting right behind him, and he says, "Let's say you and I wanted to go do a JV on an ice cream shop. What would that look like?" And I said, "Well, that'd be we'd have to find a location. We'd need to start building a brand. We'd need to hire good people. We'd have to do TIs, tenant improvements on the building, ice cream freezers, point of sale system, table, chairs, decorations, napkins, spoons, ice cream cone maker, all these different things." And just started rattling off these things. They said we'd have to do all this before we went and sold one scoop of ice cream. And so I know I'm giving away a number of things that's in the deck that I'm going to be presenting today, but when he said that, my mind just started churning, no pun intended. And it was just like, man, I am doing a lot of putting the cart before the horse. I am setting myself to make more mistakes when all I need to do is a handful of simple things. Yeah, it's going to cost money. It's not going to move as fast as I want it to, which any entrepreneur or anyone that's hungry is patience is not their virtue, but it is one of those things that does take time. It does take money. It does take thought, and does take research to really put it together. And so it was just an amazing conversation that he and I both had. And so I right after that appointment, I headed off to the airport. I jumped on a plane, opened up my laptop, and I just started writing everything down and really putting some more thought, more systems behind it. And now it's one of the things that the Recon Group is consistently paying attention to, bringing it back to the simple nature of the business and really approaching it as a business, because so many times people in the real estate industry, they'll go get their real estate license. It says real estate salesperson on their license, and they think that that's their only job. And sometimes people don't even realize that that is part of their job. And so then they can flounder and fail very easily. So we've just made it our plight to, whenever we're making a decision, is it going to be best for the company? Is it going to be best for the people that we're working with? And then, of course, is it going to be best for our clients? So it's definitely a trickle down effect. But if you have just that simple mentality that, hey, you're opening up a business, and then you fill in the components from there, we've found some pretty immediate success as soon as we put those systems in place. So there's 5,000 words when probably 10 would have gotten it done. But yeah, that's
well, we appreciate all the words, Ryan. No, and the reality is, though, that I think that it just happens so frequently that people believe that the business is just going to happen, right? And they don't realize that there's that need for that foundation, the building of that foundation, and what that looks like. It's like, well, I'm going to go get my real estate license, and now all the people I know in the world who ever want to buy and sell a house are going to come to me, and that's not really the way that it works out. So can you kind of walk us through the deck, Ryan, and kind of like share with us the insights that you have there, and then I would love to hear from our whole panel about what their takeaways are from this, and how we can help people to elevate faster.
You bet. You okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. All right. Can you guys see everything okay?
We got it.
All right. All right. Well, I kind of already gave you the preface of what the inspiration of this was all about, so I'm just going to move right into it. I always like to start things off with something motivating, positive, or informative, and our good Henry Ford: coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success, and ultimately, you need to have those building blocks, as you said, behind it, and no one's going to want to work together if there isn't leadership, if there isn't those building blocks, if there isn't that system. So, and I really feel like Henry Ford was, well, we all know what he did as far as as far as his background goes, but I feel like his teachings and his philosophies are going to echo in eternity. Table of contents, we're going to go through the conception of an ice cream shop, the building of an ice cream shop, the opening of an ice cream shop, keeping customers, keeping employees, and the message behind that. So I'm going to keep moving forward. Okay. Every business starts with people, right? It really doesn't matter how amazing of a building, amazing of a product, amazing of a service that you have if you don't have good people behind us. So who are you going to work with? And for me, the top two questions I ask myself is, do I trust them and are they competent? It helps if I like them, but those that have really been in the business world know that you don't necessarily need to like people in order to work with them. Matter of fact, sometimes it's those people that you don't like that challenge you the most and help you grow the most. But it is absolutely important that you trust them because there's going to be a lot of delegation involved. You need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Stay in your lane when as often as possible. And are they competent? Can they get the job done for the duties in which that they are tasked for? The plan, man. Starting off in the industry, my plan was just to go get my license and just go out and start having conversations. And as simple as that was, it did work. But man, I faced so many challenges. I wish that I would have put together something that was a little bit more comprehensive and answered some pretty simple questions, such as, is it profitable? So often we have in our minds something that is going to appeal more to our ego or to maybe a hobby that you have, your the simple things in life that you love to do, because maybe you heard a quote that if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's just plumb not true. Every single job is going to require some elements of business that you're just not going to completely enjoy, but it has to be profitable. Is it feasible? Understanding the market that you're walking into and what type of service or what type of product that you're bringing into it. Of course, I'm a real estate guy, so everything that I'm making parallels to are going to be to real estate. But with the ice cream shop, you're going to want to make sure that you have that visibility. You're going to want to make sure that you're in a place where people are going to pop in, and so the feasibility behind it is going to be super important. Is there a market for it? Now, as often as I go up to some very cold parts of the country, I'm shocked that they still sell ice cream there. But ice cream is one of those things that there's always a market for. Real estate is a market that there's always a demand for. We've always just had an increased population, particularly here in Maricopa County, the greater Phoenix market. People are just moving here by the hundreds and by the thousands. And so it's safe to say that there is a market here. Even though there is a ton of new real estate professionals moving into the industry, if you look at the numbers, it really doesn't matter. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to move into the industry and that aren't going to do anything. And so the people that are moving in that are going to do something, that they're the ones that are going to get the market share. And so competition is good, right? So making sure that there's a market for it is one thing, but I don't want anyone to be afraid of that competition. So those are two different things. Marketing. That ice cream shop is going to have its brand. It's going to have a sign up there. It's going to have a logo. It's going to have a target market more often than not. Ice cream shops cater to the younger crowd. And then the medium in which you are going to market. Are you doing that via the internet, mailers? Are you knocking on doors? What are you doing in order to get the word out that the ice cream shop is here and that we are open for business? our employees, that's the foundation of any business. And so with ice cream shop, you need to have your cashier, you need to have your dishwasher, you need to have the person that's stocking the shelves and stocking the freezers, so on and so forth. What type of uniforms are they going to be wearing, and what type of dress codes, so on and so forth. What are you going to pay them? Most of them line level, they're going to be paid minimum wage or just a bit above. In real estate, it's funny. A lot of people don't even make minimum wage in the real estate industry, and I think that you're going to quickly realize why once we've gone through all of this, because a lot of them have not put in these elements of what it takes to open up a real estate business as what most people have to go through in order to open up an ice cream shop. Budget. We all have expenses, and then of course from there it's all about receivables. And what that bottom line is, and making sure that we're always in the black and that we're profitable. Location, income opportunity. What does that mean? It's basically an ice cream shop in the middle of Times Square is going to fetch a higher price per scoop than an ice cream shop at a truck station between Phoenix and LA. So it's just kind of understanding what that type of income opportunity is there. So, the first three rules of real estate are location, location, location. So you need to understand what type of budget you need to be putting together, what type of overall expenses are going to come along with what you need to sell that scoop of ice cream for in order to keep your doors open. The demographics of the neighborhood in which you're building your ice cream shop is obviously going to play a part on what type of ice cream you're going to sell, how much you're going to sell per ticket, so on and so forth. Visibility. Whenever it comes to any type of commercial, that visibility has that Venn diagram with the marketing element of it, because it doesn't matter how big the name that you have out there. If they can't find the place, then your doors are as good as closed. So that's a conception of an ice cream shop. And I want you guys to start thinking, what am I missing here? What are some other big components that you think are what needs to go in place when you're starting to put together that game plan when you're opening up your ice cream shop or your real estate team or your real estate business or your lending business or whatever industry that you're deciding to enter. So yeah, if you guys have anything to add before I go to the next screen, go ahead and shout it out.
I love in the marketing section, I think so much about what we do in this industry is about creating, a brand for ourselves, which isn't just about marketing. It's about who you are and what you stand for and who you want to serve in the community and what kind of your niche is, if you will. And so I think just like an ice cream shop, in real estate, you certainly aren't the only one, right? But you are the only one who does things the way that you do. And I think that is an important component of starting a business like an ice cream shop or like a real estate business, where you haven't created a different product, if you will. You're likely doing service in a different way.
Yeah, no, I think being unique is definitely a large bullet point, and I'm going to add that in here. All right, anybody, or switch to the next?
Let's go on. Yeah, let's go next.
All right, the building of your ice cream shop. As I said before, when I was talking with my friend having coffee, he said the first thing that you got to do is you got to get your location. Those bullet points. Here's the building and supplies list, just off the top of my head. You need signage. You need tenant improvements. You're going to build walls, bathrooms, kitchens, shelves, cases. You need to set up utilities. Maybe you need to run extra electrical over there for your freezers, display cases, decor, your menu, dishes. The list goes on and on and on. I've never personally owned an ice cream shop, so I'm sure that this is just the tip of the iceberg of the actual things that you have to look forward to in order to open an ice cream shop. But carrying over into that parallel, like into the real estate business, how often are we getting that real estate license, moving over into it, and then just saying, okay, that's all that I needed, right? Or no, I went off and got some business cards, that ought to do it. And it's like, well, sometimes you're going to be the janitor, sometimes you're going to be the CEO, sometimes you're going to be the CFO, sometimes you're going to be the chief marketing officer, and then all those different hats in between. Not to mention the actual supplies and what you're going to need in order to perform those tasks. So it blows me away. I know some top producers out there, they're not even using a CRM. All they have is their cell phone and the contacts that they have on there, and it just blows me away. Like, I can't even think the amount of business that they would actually be doing if they had a CRM behind it, if they had an assistant helping them set up phone calls, if they had an ISA or an ISA agent out there proactively touching the people that have hit their website. The fact that a lot of them don't even have websites. I mean, all these things are just yet another building block that I see so many people entering this business just not even thinking about, much less doing it. And so, one thing that you touched on, Don, is that every single one on this platform right now, we're all top producers, and we all have a concept of, hey, there needs to be this platform, these building blocks there. And so when we're talking to new agents about what it takes in order to perform at a high level or take that next step, whatever that step may be, it's making sure that you have that there. And so the Recon Group and you guys as well have done everything that we can to make it a plug and play. Hey, look, we already have the signage, we already have the utilities, we already have the freezers, we already have the display cases, we already have the menu, we already have the decor, we already have all these building blocks in place. So all you need to do is come in, learn how to use these tools essentially, and then go out and execute. And then once you get to that place where you're getting ready to level up, then we're going to teach you how to start doing those hirings and where to get those additional building blocks so that you can add those extra cylinders to the engine in your vehicle. What else do you guys want to add to this?
I think it's a pretty great comprehensive list, Ryan. I think that, I mean, the goal here is to show that you have to, there's a lot you have to do to open your ice cream shop, right?
Yep.
And that's the reality is this is a lengthy list of things that you have to do to be able to open those front doors.
Yep. Completely agree. All right. So the opening, right? You don't just go over there and open your doors. Most ice cream shops or restaurants or business, they're going to have some type of soft opening. They're going to say, hey, look, we're entering the market space. We're over here on Central and Indian School. We're getting ready to open up for business. We're going to inform our audience via TV, radio, newspaper, internet, mailers, coupons, specials, sales. And then once they walk through the door, our sales team is going to be the first people that they see, right? So we're going to have scripts. We're going to have a unique approach. We're going to have a point of sale system. We're going to have a way that we do business. We're going to have a culture. When you walk in, you're going to notice that we're all friendly, that we're always going to greet you within 5 seconds of you entering our establishment. All these different things that play into that great experience when you walk into your favorite ice cream shop. And then on top of that, the product or the service obviously has to be there. So when we enter our market, we don't want it to be a secret, right? We want everyone to know that we are here and that we're organized, and at least give the perception that, hey, we've been doing this for a while. Even if you're brand new to the ice cream industry or brand new to the real estate industry, if you walk in without that confidence that, hey, look, I may not have 10 or 20 or 30 years behind me, but I have done everything up front to ensure success, not only for myself, but for my customers, clients, or whatever title you put on the people that you're working with. And so I think that's one of those things that a lot of people, particularly in the real estate industry, suffer from. Ultimately, it boils down to confidence, and we see a lot of that. But I feel like a lot of those confidence issues are overcome by having that safety net of, oh, okay, I have my ice cream shop, I have my freezers, I have my signage, I have my marketing medians, I have the scripts. So in case I don't know what to say, I at least have something to bring a value that shows that I put some thought into this. Now, a lot of people don't like the idea of being salesy. A lot of people don't like the idea of having scripts. They feel like they're being robotic. And while I agree with that, primarily over at the Recon Group, we use more like templates. It's a format of, hey, if we're having this type of obstacle, here's a number of different ways that we can overcome it. Customize it to what that looks like for both you and your client, which I know you guys do as well. But it is not a bad thing to have a plan in place if you don't have a ton of experience. It is not a bad thing to have that plan that, hey, look, when we run into this, either this is what we say or these are the people that we talk to in order to either overcome that objection or solve that problem. And I think, going back to the confidence thing, it's just all in that headspace. And why some ice cream shops fail and why some of them succeed, because I can guarantee you a lot of people that work at ice cream shops, it's the first job that they've ever had, but they're working for very successful ice cream shops. You can fill in the blank of your favorite one, and your experience is still going to be the same. You know that you're going to get that greeting, and you're going to walk into a clean space. You're going to get the ice cream that you like, and it's not because that teenager's first job, they just walked into it and they just had that natural talent of being an amazing ice cream shop employee. So if you can think of that in terms of real estate, whether you're brand new or you're a seasoned veteran or anywhere in the middle, if you have any of those confidence issues or if you have any of those system issues, all you have to do is just reach out to I highly recommend a team, and find out what type of components their ice cream shop, so to speak, has in place for you to be successful and confident. And that's what I wanted to come across here on this slide. What are your guys' thoughts?
No, I think it's important. Again, looking at the fact that there needs to be a plan how you're going to track the people, right? You need to make yourself publicly known that this is the business that you're in. And I put Mindy's remarks about the scripts up on the screen because I think it's important that we look, people get so hung up on that word and it drives me a little crazy because, we all have all of these things that we've got scripted in our life. And it's important that we realize that it's really just having a plan.
Well, I just love that. I love, Ryan, that you said that because I'm constantly on the bandwagon of if scripts make you feel uncomfortable or the word makes you feel like you've got to be robotic or whatever it is, we call it a plan and you called it a template. And that's just it. It's before you have a conversation with somebody, if you have an intended outcome, which is to help them in some capacity, why would you not take the time to put a plan together so that you can really maximize the time that you have with them on the phone, in person, or whatever it is? We all talk about further educating ourselves, whether it's books, it's classes, it's church, it's community, it's whatever you're doing to evolve as a person. And scripts or plans or templates are just the way to help you best communicate that message.
Yeah, it shows you care, right? And that there's always a way to move forward or move that needle in order to advance on the track of transacting, right? Because that's ultimately what all the parties are wanting to do, and unless you have that plan or that template or that script, there you can find yourself being dead in the water real quick, and and someone taking your business away from you, or that business drying up completely, at that point. So, no, that's really good stuff, guys. Thank you. Customers. Now, I don't think any of this stuff is going to be like groundbreaking news here, but of course, it doesn't matter if you're selling a product or a service. The service is always going to be there. Again, it's the people that we work with that are going to be what breaks us or makes us. And so, having a plan in there, having some training, having the training there, and having the overall game plan for services there. Is going to be the path for success there. Satisfaction, follow-ups, making sure that, hey, after they've got done, after they've eaten the last bite of ice cream and they're getting ready to walk out of there, having those temp checks. Hey, how was your ice cream? How was your experience? Do you guys needed to go water or whatever, so that we can ensure that we see you again. And we want to be the ice cream shop that whenever you guys think about going out for ice cream, you think about us first. We know there's a lot of other ice cream shops out there, and there's a lot of other different themes out there. But your satisfaction is what's going to keep you coming back, which leads over to retention. What are your systems after that? Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but everywhere you walk into nowadays, you have to give them your phone number, or you have a card that says, hey, my name is Ryan Gerdes, and I'm a loyal customer. And then you get discounts, you get coupons, you get special perks, so on and so forth. Well, in real estate, we do the same thing, right? Hey, if I didn't have to spend $50 on some type of lead generating base, or 5 hours over at an open house, or whatever it is, if I didn't have to do that, or I already did that and had a customer or client from it, and they come back, I didn't have to spend that money or that time again, simply because I used a retention system for us. We have after the close system set up that we program into our CRM, because I hate to say it, but I don't have a great memory. So I rely on my calendar religiously, and I integrate my calendar with my CRM. So I know that today's the 30-day anniversary since we closed on that home. I'm going to pick up the phone, make a phone call, or depending on my relationship with them, I might swing by their work and take them out for lunch, or take them out for a beer at happy hour, and tell them to bring all their coworkers with them. I mean, there's so many different tactics and strategies that we use, and the reality is this is a super fun business on the lead generating and the lead retention side if you're doing it right. If you don't feel like every single time you're picking up the phone that it's going to be a cold call, or you're going to have an awkward conversation, then that's just you not getting out of your own way, because it is a lot of fun calling up people and saying, hey man, it's been 30 days and you guys are pretty much settled in now. I'd love to come over and bring your kids some ice cream, or take you out for a beer, and just really foster that personal relationship side. And then that of course transitions over into the follow-up, making sure you have a systematic follow-up method. Our after the close, moving into our CRM campaign is our follow-up system, which provides that consistency. Every single one of our clients know that I'm going to be showing up with them, showing up over to their home every 6 months to do a pro forma. Here's how your home is performed, because over at the Recon Group, we really look at everything as an investment. Just like the ice cream shop, they know that they're going to get a mailer every 6 months or every month saying, hey, you're a valued customer, 15% off of your next visit. You spend $25 or more, or whatever the plan is, in order to have that consistency, because it's going to come every single month if they're doing it right. Are there any good bullet points that I'm missing here, or anything anyone wants to add?
No, I think this is great, Ryan. We only have about a minute left until we need to start moving into our updates, but yeah, I think this is on point.
Okay, I'll keep moving then. What are you both saying when you aren't talking? This is the body language stuff. This is the things that are being relayed, no matter what we're saying. And then hiring, wages, training. Those are going to be the things that are super important when you're doing your onboarding, because that's what's going to attract good quality employees. The termination is that bad word that so many people like to avoid. Embrace it. That's the hard part of any business, is when you're either terminating a client, or if you've been terminated before, or if you have to terminate one of your ice cream shop employees. It's never a fun conversation. But if you're that person that embraces it and just says, hey, this is part of the business, and then decide that you're going to have the worst memory ever when it comes to the bad parts of it, but a good memory when it comes to learning from it, then you're going to win more. Promotions and guidance. We do a lot of really trying to dig into what all of our team members are going through, and if they're doing great, we want to reward that. Here's a promotion, or here's a raise, just like you need to do over at your ice cream shop. And if they're struggling, or if they're missing the mark on a couple of things, hey, this is how we can do better. So, in the spirit of time, I'm going to move on to the next one. So again, this is all done before you sell one scoop of ice cream. All of these things. You have to have all these things in place. You have to have a plan. You have to have a system. You have to have all these things in place before you sell one scoop of ice cream. And keep in mind, you're lucky to make $100,000 annually on an ice cream shop. I mean, think about all the work that they do in order to open up a Cold Stone Creamery. That $100,000 is from a couple of owners of Cold Stone Creameries that I know. And after they've established themselves, that's about how much they make per year per ice cream shop. In real estate, you can make millions a year. Millions. Why are we not putting the same effort, the same time, the same money, the same networking, the same all these things into our real estate business, or our lending business, or our title business that an ice cream shop is doing? So that's the real thing that I wanted to drive home on that. And over at the Recon Group, it's one of those things that you can just plug right in. And everyone here on this board right now knows this. And so if you're entering that industry, title, lending, you have that platform to move right in, and just know that they already have the ice cream shop built. They already have the brand. They already have the unique approach, the point of sale, the freezers, so on and so forth. So I'll wrap it up here. The message: how do you define a metaphor for each one of the components? What's your freezer? What's your ice cream? What components of your ice cream shop do you already have in place? And then, of course, what components of your ice cream shop do you still need? What components of your ice cream shop or your real estate business could you improve on? And are you doing as much with your real estate business as you would be doing with an ice cream shop? So I hope that these questions can echo through your head, that these metaphors can echo through your head, so you can make those correlations on how you can level up, be better, and make more money.
Yeah, well, and Ryan, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing all of that. And I think that as we kind of bring this full circle, the reality is that you have an ice cream shop, and Mindy has an ice cream shop, and you have the freezers, and you have the advertising and the marketing, and you guys have those things. And I think that's part of is for so many people getting into this business. This is one of their biggest struggles, is putting those pieces together and trying to figure out what that looks like. And now I'm going to tell you, your ice cream shop runs differently than Mindy's, and you know, and that means that there's different fits for different people and different ways of doing things. And so I would encourage people, if you're new to this business, or you haven't got your foothold into this business yet, that you meet with a team, that you meet with an organization that already has the freezers and has the marketing and has the scripts and has the plans together. You know, Ryan, you guys have a great operation and a great team, and you guys do so much to support them. Mindy, same for you. You guys do so much to help build success within your team. And I think that it's so important that people look at this as their opportunity. Doesn't mean that they can't ever own their own ice cream shop. All right. It just means that that they're going to go to ice cream shop college, and they're going to learn that, and they might find that this is the long-term fit, though, right? That they don't really want to have to go and buy freezers, and they don't want to have to go and recreate the wheel that's already there.
Well, and I think what it comes down to, and that's so well said, Don, is that not everyone's meant to own an ice cream shop. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of work, a lot of detail to put into doing something like that. And you know, I honestly, you know, the systems and the processes and everything your team has put together, Ryan, you know, that didn't happen overnight. That's, and Mindy, same thing. That's a long process of well out thought products and resources and the right people on the bus and things that you took a lot of time to put together. That's golden. And some folks should be part of that and not be doing their own. So I think that's a great message altogether. Thanks, Ryan. Great stuff.
Thank you for the floor and for the time, guys. I really appreciate it. And hopefully there's some good takeaways here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, again, Ryan, thank you so much. And Mindy, thank you so much. And I know both of you guys have, you know, some help wanted signs in the ice cream shop windows. And so if anybody is interested in having a conversation with Ryan or having a conversation with Mindy, please reach out directly to them. Reach out to Sharon, Amber, myself, and we are so happy to put you in touch with these great organizations that have so many systems in place for you already. So, okay, we're going to make our transition now, and we're going to go from ice cream, which, gosh, I could use a snack now. So we're going to go from ice cream, and we're going to talk about money. And so as soon as I brought up the money, Amber, she unmutes herself, and she's like, "Let's go," because this is her favorite subject. And so Amber, you know, you guys talked about this last week, and I think that, you know, there's probably been a lot going on since. But those inflation numbers came in last week, which had a lot of people scurrying a bit and concerned about what that was going to mean for our economy. So now that we've had a week to kind of settle into things, what are they? You know, how is the financial world reacting at this point?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, we had high inflation numbers back to back. Then we had the Federal Reserve meeting where the chairman just basically said the concern of high inflation spooked the markets. Last Wednesday, interest rates went up about 0.25% just in the afternoon. We did see them come back. We've regained about half of what we lost. So we're about 1/8% across the board higher in interest rates today than we were on last Wednesday morning before the announcement. And the market's just kind of staying flat right now, waiting to see what's going to come out. Tomorrow, there's more numbers being released that will gauge inflation. If those come in hot, expect interest rates to most likely get worse again. If they come in cool, you know, less than what has been anticipated, maybe we see interest rates improve a little bit. But the big question is, has inflation peaked and we're going to see it improve, or are we still on that upward climb? And as long as we see inflation increasing, it's not going to be great news for interest rates, and it's going to start to really make people wonder about the tapering of the mortgage-backed security purchase, which as soon as they start talking about tapering, I just had a call yesterday with the head of our capital markets at Guild, and you know, he said as soon as they start talking tapering, there's going to be some serious reaction to it, lots of emotion. We could see interest rates go up 1% upon that announcement, because then we know it's happening. So just a reminder, as we always say, these short-term or these low interest rates is a short-term thing. Take advantage of it while you can. So we'll see next week what happens on tomorrow's reports and where the market's at. But something else I wanted to mention was there was some big news yesterday, because after a Supreme Court ruling allowed the Biden administration to release the FHFA director, Mark Calabria, of his duties, which the FHFA is what runs essentially Fannie Freddie. And they're the ones that have been responsible for some really key regulations that have been in place over the last year. So they decided to do the 50 basis point adverse refinance fee last year. That was one that came about just immediately. All of a sudden, like the next day, interest rates on refinances were a 0.5% additional cost, if you remember that. And then most recently, he announced the 7% limit on second home and investment property purchases from any specific lender, which drove up those interest rates. And then just as of last week, he moved that from 7% down to 3%, again, effective immediately, causing lenders to super scramble, raise interest rates more, not really sure how to handle it. So there's been a lot going on. He was released. They've nominated an interim to run the FHFA until they put a official director into there, which they'll probably make that happen sooner than later. But we could see some of these things changing. Probably the first thing on the ballot to discuss is this limit on second home and investment properties. So I will definitely keep you up to date as we learn more about that. Arizona is a heavy second home market, and so we're really hopeful that this goes away or things change in regards to that, so we can see that market start to get back to normal.
Excellent. So thank you for the update, Amber. And so I want to ask a little question, and I know it's a little elementary, but I just want to make sure that we have this information out for everybody that's watching, because, you know, as we see these numbers coming in, and the reality is that throughout this pandemic, there's been a lot of new money, a lot of money printed, and that's one of the root causes of inflation. So we know that when there's more dollars out there, the dollars become worth less money. Therefore, inflation happens, and this could be a problem that we're going to take some time to resolve. So if you were a buyer, if you were somebody who was contemplating buying a home now, and you were concerned about what these interest rates might do, because while we're still talking low rates, we want the lowest possible that we can get, right? So if I were to apply for a mortgage today, and then how does the locking of the rates work, and what happens if they go down from there? What are my options? And if they go up from there, how long do I have to hold on to that rate that I'm locking in now?
Yeah, so once we lock into an interest rate, we're essentially setting aside that client's funds at that day's interest rates. And so we don't play the market anymore. I tell my clients, it's like, you know, earmuffs, blinders on. We don't care what happens in the market up or down, because you're no longer in the market. And so my recommendation is, when you go under contract, is typically to lock in, unless there's something really specifically coming out where I feel like they're going to drop, because I just think it's too risky. It's something we have no control over, and it's really volatile right now. There's just a lot going on. So once we lock in and protect that interest rate, it's usually for a 30 or 45-day window. And then I tell clients, you don't get to change the interest rate. So if rates go up in a couple days, I'm not going to call you and say, hey, client, remember I locked you in at that 3% rate? Well, sorry, today it's 3.25%, so your payment's going up. Same thing, you don't get to take advantage of the drop. And so we just want to make sure that you understand your payment. If you're comfortable with it, do you want to go ahead and lock in and secure that interest rate? And then if someone locks in, they close on their home or they close on their refinance, we really need 6 months before we can look to like restructure that loan and just see, does it make sense for them to do any kind of a refinance to drop that interest rate?
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you. And I appreciate just the clarity on that, because I think that, you know, there should be some urgency for people who are looking to buy and wanting to have the best possible rates, because, you know, when we've seen what's happened over this last year plus, and the money that's been put into our economy. And I'm not saying it was wrong to do it, because we needed to keep people, you know, moving and keep people afloat. But at the same time, there are going to be consequences for that. And so as we see these inflation numbers, I do feel like it's really wise for people to act quickly. So
yes, I agree. Yep, for sure.
So, well, thank you so much for the update. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all of your insight in the things that you bring to us regarding not just what numbers are, but like what they can mean. So,
Yeah.
so that's
As always,
really,
thank you for having me. I love it so much.
thank you. Okay, so Mindy, we have a trend, and as far as inventory goes, so I was hoping you could share a little bit about what that trend is and what maybe are some of the contributing factors.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely have lots to update you guys on. I think when we come on here, every week now, it's been about 3 months that we've been talking about continued shifting towards a more balanced market. Certainly not something that will happen overnight. But we are now about 13 weeks into a continued trend where we're seeing an increase in the amount of available inventory, and we're seeing a real, kind of steadying, if you will, of the demand here in the Valley. So there's no bad news. The news, however, is important to report. Clients are always asking us to tell them what's happening in the market. And right now, some of the changes that we're seeing, we can't feel quite yet from a consumer perspective. And some of the changes we actually have started to feel a little bit from the consumer perspective. And that comes in a couple of different categories. It doesn't come from pricing per se, meaning we're not seeing a decrease in pricing. We are still projecting that prices will rise through 2021. We will likely start to see a slow and acceleration in that trajectory over the next 6 months, but we aren't expected to be anywhere near a true balanced market for at least 15 months if we were to continue at the same trend at the same pace as we have over the last 3 months. So those are really important things to keep in mind as you're looking to make plans. We have a sense of urgency around interest rates, which Amber talked about, and the piece of the puzzle that you can't control for, which is that fluctuation. And the same goes with not being able to control for how quickly we come out of this seller's market. So the least risky time to choose your market conditions is when you know everything about the market, which is today. And the same is true for interest rates, and the same is true for pricing structure and what's happening. I think probably one of the first indicators from a consumer perspective that we are in a changing market is that we're starting to see behaviors vary depending on neighborhood or location in the Valley. And up till about 3 months ago, it didn't really matter where or what neighborhood you were selling a house in or at what price point. You would have the exact same kind of response. There would be multiple offers. It would sell within a couple of days. It didn't matter if the neighborhood hadn't changed in 50 years or you had a brand new employment sector right on the corner. It really, everybody was experiencing kind of the same response and the same amount of appreciation, and that has certainly changed. So we've seen some neighborhoods, and I'll just use some East Valley examples, but we've seen some neighborhoods like Eastmark or Marbella, where the vibe in the neighborhood is very strong. It's very clear that they're on this fast track appreciation. Homes have doubled in price over the last couple of years. People are pulling $200,000-$300,000 out of their sale when they sold. They've been there anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. So there is a very clear trajectory. And then we see other neighborhoods that rightly so are not responding in the same type of a way. And that is kind of your first signal that things are changing. So just to give you a few numbers, because I know that we're short on time, and certainly, connecting with Ryan or myself or someone that can see this happening, right? We do enough business that we can feel a lot of this happening. Scheduling time with one of us is your great next step to determining what else is happening in the market. But just to give you a few updates. So supply is about 75% below normal from a seasonal level, but our supply is actually up 23% since February. So that's a pretty significant increase in the change in inventory. Again, whether you feel it or not, that is a true number. That is not up 1% or 0.5%. I mean, it's up nearly 25% just from February. And in that same time frame, we've seen some other changes. We've seen we're about 7% above normal seasonal demand. So we've seen a little bit of an increase in demand over the summer, which is unusual. We've seen 62% of June sales closing over asking price. So we're still seeing very strong responses to our list prices out there. We've seen May appreciation was at 39% annually, but June so far is only at 36% annually. So again, if we look at the decline and the pace in the decline of the seller's market, we're dropping by about 2 to 3% a month, which is again what's giving us that trajectory of 15 to 16 months before we're somewhere near a true balanced market, and really before the end of this year, 2021, until most cities are going to see a change in the selling environment. So those are the numbers that I would take. Again, we could go on forever about some of the things that we're seeing, but I think the key takeaway is there's a sense of urgency around making a purchase, knowing your interest rates are going to go up. There's a sense of urgency around getting your home sold when we can see a very big difference from a price point and a neighborhood perspective. So for example, in that supply increase that I gave you, in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, we're only up about 30% in supply, right? Remember I said about 25% up since February. Yeah. That same time frame, 30% for 300 to 400,000, but almost 70% for 400 to 800,000. So here in the area that we serve, a big chunk of our houses sit between that $400,000 to $800,000 range, and so that's going to start to feel a little bit different than it does at these other price points. So when you start to see things vary by price point, you start to see things vary by zip code, you start to see things vary by neighborhood, that is usually a good indicator that we're going to start to feel some changes here soon.
So much like the conversation with Amber, that we know right now that if you're a buyer, we know what interest rates are right now. We know what the market condition. It doesn't mean there's no competition to buy a house, because there's still plenty of competition out there if you're looking to buy a house. But this takes you back to that conversation of it's a good time to do it now, because we don't know what's going to be in the future, and that as things shift and as things change, that we have to be prepared for all of those, and who you work with matters, and make sure they have the solutions for you.
Absolutely. And once we've started to share that we're entering into that changing environment, all you're doing as a consumer at this point, if you're still holding on to your sale, is you're trying to time the market, because we've already indicated a shift. And so if you're still waiting, now what you're doing is trying to time the market. And if you're going to sell and buy in the same market, what you're selling, the day you sell it, you stop benefiting from it. You stop benefiting from the appreciation. You don't make one more dollar after you've locked in that sales price. But in what you're buying, you're just starting that process. So as early in as you can get into that for the asset you're going to have now longer than you have the one that you're selling, right, the better you can make that move. So there absolutely is a change in the sense of urgency at this point.
Excellent. Okay, well, our time is almost up. I do want to mention that next week, the Mindy Jones Group is sponsoring a event with the Small Business Mixer. So ice cream shop owners are welcome, and we'd love to have them. But no, so if you own a business in the Southeast Valley, we would love to have you join us on the 1st. I believe we are at, I don't actually have the time in front of me, Mindy, but
4:30 to 6 at Parlay Kitchen and Cocktails in Chandler.
Excellent. Yes. And so we'll make sure we have that information ready to go next week when we're on here as well. But you can check out my Facebook page, Mindy's Facebook page. It's on both of them. So we'd love to have you join us, and especially if you own an ice cream shop. So
and can bring samples.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay. Well, anything else before we go, guys? Anything else we need to get out there? All right, my friends, thank you all so much for joining us this week. Thank you for those of you who are joining us on Facebook. We appreciate you, appreciate your time, and we look forward to being back next week and sharing some more great information. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Take care.